Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing something a little different. There is a person I know, he's got a Jetta. It's a 2013 TDI. And he purchased, the BC Racing custom coilovers. Looks like a really nice kit. I've already installed the driver's side. As you can see, the distances are pretty far, but this is a very adjustable kit. I have put on the front and the rear. These are the front coilovers that you get. I really like them. Everything seems to be built very well. And I like the fact that you have a camber adjustment on the top, which a lot of these vehicles, based on your mounts up here, as you can see, that's completely accessible, and a good alignment shop should be able to make the appropriate adjustments to get your camber right in. I think as I get a little closer, I'm probably gonna have to roll this edge, but that has to do with the rims he's got and the tires he's got on there. But in comparison, you notice the wheels there, and then you go to this side, not really that much. But right now I wanted to get the full kit installed, and I've only got the driver's side on. So this is literally what the factory suspension would look like with a nice set of rims on them. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get her all jacked up, supported by some jack stands, pop the wheels off, and I'll show you guys how to put this on. Okay, the first thing you wanna do is pull off your cover there so that you can gain access to these. You're gonna have 3 bolts. If I remember right, they're 12 or 13 millimeters. Now at this point, don't take them off, because you want this to hold up here so that the housing here will allow the strut to slide down. Remove your sway bar link. There's a nut back here and a nut here. If you notice, there is a type of Torx inside here that you can, if you don't have air tools, I do, but if you don't have air tools, you can put that in there and use a wrench here to hold that in place. Any type of impact, whether it be battery operated or air operated, will be very helpful. Next you want to do is remove this 10 millimeter bolt here that holds your brake lines in place and your ABS connector. Just pop that out of there. You don't want any of those to get stressed. This is actually clipped in over here on the back side of the rotor assembly. You want to unclip that and put it off to the side. The reason why is because when you go to move this down, to get it out of here, it has to go really far down. And on the driver's side, I had a heck of a time doing that. I literally had to unbolt the axle on the inside there. I took a special type of socket, which was 8 millimeter, but as you can see, the head is double the size of a normal Torx. For the life of me, I cannot remember what the name of that style Torx are. So if you can, leave a note in the comments. I love to learn anything I can. So you're also gonna have to take off your tie rod end. At that time, once you have your tie rod end off, I normally grab onto it, move it back and forth, make sure there's no play in your inner tie rod, and check the outer tie rod for any play also. After that, you will have 3 nuts under here that you have to take off for the lower ball joint. That will allow you to move this hub assembly around a lot easier to get it out of here. The reassembly is way easier than the disassembly of the stock system. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, as you can see, I got the sway bar link out. That actually came out pretty easy. I've got the bolt that goes through, that clamps onto the strut. Now, this is just a little piece of advice. A lot of people, you can beat the hell out of this to get it down. So what you can do is use the chisel, slowly tap it through, and what it'll do is it'll slowly splay these 2 parts of the hub assembly apart, making it a lot easier to get this out. When you are taking off your tie rod end, this is just a quick tip. Once you get the nut completely off, screw it back on a little bit, and hit it with a hammer right there pretty smartly. That will cause this to pop that up. But if you miss and you hit these threads, you're going to mess them up and have to either clean them, file them, tap them, or replace your tie rod end. So if you put the nut back on there, it'll keep you from allowing, if you're not good with the hammer, from slipping and hitting those. That's just a quick tip. At this point, I've been able to get this out with very little effort. I ended up not going from the top, but I actually went from the bottom up because I'm on the alignment tab here, which allowed it to come out very smoothly. But to do this and to do it a lot easier and quicker than trying to work and force it, because that's what I did on the other side, I took out the 8 mil, this style bolt that allows the axle to move forward, which allows the whole assembly to move forward and gives you the necessary movement you need to get this bad puppy out a lot easier than trying to do it without taking those bolts. Those bolts really aren't that hard. I ended up using a really long extension, but they're not super tight, so it's not like you'll have any issues with that. So from that, we take out the 3 bolts up here and put in the new one, which you see right there. Once I got the nuts put on up top, they were 12 millimeter, got them tightened down. I was then able to put these 3 nuts back on the ball joint, use my jack to raise the control arm assembly up and line it up with that. I'm supporting it all with the control arm and the jack, which allows me to install and tighten up the nut there. Then I can put my tie rod end back in, double check all my bolts, put my sway bar end length, the new one that they supply, and it is marked right and left. But if for some reason you're not sure, just compare it to the sway bar link on the other side. It's literally right and left. You'll figure out pretty quick that it won't go on. Once all that's said and done, again, double check all your bolts, reinstall all 6 of the axle bolts, and put your wheel back on, torque it down to the correct specs, and then we're going to move on to the back. If you don't have a really long extension to pop the 8 millimeter axle retaining bolts off, go ahead and remove the shield. It's held on by 4 T25s and then 2 T45s, and that'll allow it to come down as far as you can see here. It'll just pull out of the slide tabs in the front. That will allow you access to here if you don't have the long extension. Another little tip. Now the rear, not hard at all. You want to check to make sure you don't have any leveling sensors or anything like that for self-leveling headlights or suspension parts or anything like that. This one doesn't have anything like that. So what you're going to want to do is take off this lower bolt. Up behind the shield are 2, and then on the other side there's another one. Bolts. That'll get the strut out of your way. Now once you have the strut out of your way, you'll probably need a little bar or something like that to pull the suspension down far enough to pop the spring out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, once you get this assembly out, which I really like because you don't have to remove the inside of the car at all. You can have your bolt over here, bolt over here. I used a 17 impact to get them out. The next is going to be getting this assembly off of your shock. So I'm using air, but if you don't have air, you can use a wrench and a pair of vice grips or the appropriate size wrench to hold onto that and do it off manually. Here's another little trick to doing this job. To get the spring out, to get this control arm assembly out, I actually used the jack from a vehicle, because it's a screw style to push against the body and to push the suspension down to get enough spring movement to pull the spring out. So that'll make your job a little bit easier than trying to pry down on this and hold it down while you're trying to remove the spring. Passenger side is complete. I did something a little different on this side just because I wanted to see the difference between the two. That is without this puck installed. Basically, it just has the rubber on the bottom, but no puck. It's got a nice height to it. With puck installed, that's the right height. It's literally about an inch difference, which is about the thickness of the puck. So depending on your adjustability and where you want your car set at, install it with or without the puck and start your adjustments from there. Okay, this is the finished look. I think it looks really nice. I went a little higher than most people probably would based on what the customer wanted. As you can see, it lines up pretty much with the top of the tire tread instead of going down too low. And the back is a little higher. And the reason the back's a little higher, it's easily adjustable, this is a really nice kit, is because of the fact that he said he's going on a trip and he's going to have a lot of luggage in it, and from what I understand, it's going to be a full boat of people. So again, the car has a really nice look to it, sleek lines now. Tires actually fit the wheel wells really nicely. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. Have a great day. Okay, this is the finished look. I think it looks really nice. I went a little higher than most people probably would based on what the customer wanted. As you can see, it lines up pretty much with the top of the tire tread instead of going down too low. And the back is a little higher. And the reason the back's a little higher, it's easily adjustable, this is a really nice kit, is because of the fact that he said he's going on a trip and he's going to have a lot of luggage in it, and from what I understand, it's going to be a full boat of people. So again, the car has a really nice look to it, sleek lines now. Tires actually fit the wheel wells really nicely. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. Have a great day.